I set out to answer a question that every woodworker, hobbyist, or even casual DIYer has probably wondered at some point. Does the way a wood product looks really change how people value it? To find out, I made the exact same wood product, but I intentionally made one look cheap, and one bonnets and the other look premium, like something you'd see in a high-end boutique. And when I put them out for people to choose, the decision was almost instant. But here's the twist. It wasn't for the reason you might expect. People weren't just picking based on price or practicality, because in woodworking, and honestly in most crafts, it's not just about what you build or how sturdy it is, it's about how it looks, how it feels in your hands, and the impression it leaves. So today, I'm running a super simple experiment. Can I actually change how people buy, just by changing how a product feels and looks, even if the core is identical? Here's the base product. Same wood, same design, same dimensions. No tricks, no hidden features. I'm not changing the structure at all, only the finishing touches, the details that catch your eye. So I'll split this into two versions, one intentionally cheap, and one that gets the full premium treatment. Let's start with the cheap version, the way most beginners might finish their first project. No extra effort, no attention to detail, just a quick rough sanding to knock off the splinters. This is how a lot of beginners finish their projects, nothing fancy, just enough to call it done. Basic finish, slapped on pretty quick, maybe even skipping a few steps because you're eager to see the final result. The result? It's uneven, kinda dull, and definitely not something you'd brag about to your friends. It's functional, but it doesn't stand out. It works, but it looks cheap, like you wouldn't rush to pick it up at a craft fair, and it'd probably get passed over for something shinier. And here's the wild part. It's the same product underneath, same material, same everything, but just by changing the finish, it already feels like a totally different item. Now let's do the premium version. This is where the magic happens. Same base, but this time I slow down. Every step is intentional, every detail matters. Careful sanding, edges cleaned, surface perfectly smooth, using finer and finer grits until it feels like glass. And when it's time to finish, I use the good stuff. Premium oils and waxes that bring out the natural beauty of the wood. I take my time, wipe, polish, let it really shine. The finish soaks in, the grain pops, and suddenly it looks like a piece you'd see in a designer shop. This is where most people rush, but honestly, that's what creates value. The difference is in the patience and care. And now, it looks like something you'd actually pay for, maybe even gift to someone special. Let's put them side by side. The transformation is honestly kind of shocking. It's the same product, but the perception? Completely different. People's reactions say it all. So now, let's test it in the real world. I listed both online, side by side, for the same price. Same description, same style of photos. Only one thing's different, how they look in the pictures. You'd think people would compare carefully, maybe read every detail, but that's not what happens. Most buyers scroll fast. They make snap judgments based on the first impression. They feel first, and then they decide. It's almost instinctive. At first both get views, not much difference. People are curious about both. But then, something interesting happens. The premium version starts to stand out. The premium version gets more saves, more likes, more people staring at it for longer. Then, bing, one sells. But which one? It wasn't the cheap version, it was the premium. So what happened? Why did people ignore the other one? The cheap version, lower trust, feels low value, easy to ignore. It just doesn't inspire confidence. Premium feels like quality, builds trust, easier to justify buying. People want to feel good about what they buy. And remember, it's the same product. The only difference is the care and attention in the finish. People don't buy wood, they buy perception, they buy the story, the feeling, the experience of quality, how it looks, how it feels. That's what they're really paying for. The finish is what makes it special. So if your wood projects aren't selling, maybe it's not your design. Maybe it's just how it looks, how it feels to the customer. Now I want to know, if you were standing in front of these two, which would you pick? Which one would you buy, cheap or premium? Comment below and tell me why. And stick around, because I'm taking this even further in my next experiment, where I'll test if premium finishes can actually change what people are willing to pay. You won't want to miss it.